So, I just found out that my stream stopped probably like 30 minutes ago or some shit. Even though it made it look like it was still there. So it only recorded like the beginning part where I went over the tips, and I just got through like a good chunk of the chapter just to find out that I need to start over. So, this is why I kept the motherfucking chat up so that way it would let me know of this shit when it does happen. Oh my god. Goliath, you're fine. See if I can work with my settings so that way my phone won't go off, so that way I can still see the thing. Display. Screen timeout. Okay, 5 minutes is fine, actually. Let's fucking try this again. Load. Continue. Like, it's literally the first, it was the first fucking sentence that it stopped on. I was like, no, it can't be, yeah, okay. Thank God I got water. After hanging up on Shion, I searched for Rika-chan's phone number on my school's contact list. There it is. My fingers trembled with urgency, and I failed multiple times to put in the simple 5-digit number. Put this like directly in front of me so that way I can see it if it goes off again. That's happened before where a YouTube stream will just end, and I wonder if it has something to do with connection, even though I'm not experiencing any connection issues. Whatever. Keiichi, are you calling someone at this hour? It's late and it's being rude to the other person. That doesn't matter right now. I shouted angrily at my mother. Shut up, Mom! Listening to the dial tone. Pick up, come on, pick up. I hate this ring tone so much. The time was 11 p.m. It certainly wasn't early. It was essentially the middle of the night. Had Rika-chan already gone to bed? Her phone would be ringing constantly though, so would she get back up for me? Rika-chan didn't pick up. She didn't pick up. She didn't pick up. Maybe she just happened to miss it. Maybe her bed was just too far away from the phone? The sound of a phone ringing gets clearer and clearer the longer you go on sleeping. Then, the bathroom? Yeah, she must be taking a bath. If that was the case, then even if she heard the phone, she wouldn't be able to pick up. It was a little late to be taking a bath, but it was possible she normally took baths right before going to bed. Are you guys morning shower or evening shower people? I feel like it really depends. Just whenever I need one, honestly. I'll wait 30 minutes, then try calling again. Okay, finally, it fucking stopped. But, like, I feel like evening showers are, like, the best, because then it's just, like, a nice reset to end the day. Even as I was thinking that, I called her house over and over again. I kept calling, over and over again and again. I kept on calling her, but she didn't pick up even once. I think I kept trying for about 30 minutes, yet she wasn't picking up. Were my phone calls so persistent that she had gotten scared of picking up the receiver? No, that couldn't possibly be it. There's no point in doing this any longer. The best thing to do would be to go there in person. Where was Rika-chan's house, though? Shit, I never even asked her where she lived. Her residence was written there in the contact list, but it was an address with mostly numbers, so I couldn't tell where it was just by reading it. Oh my god, I needed that. Is there a map or something in here? Rika Furude. Her last name was Furude. It was a bit of an odd last name, so it might be easy to find. Thinking that, I rummaged around the drawer with the phone book, but could only find things like takeout menus and phone numbers for public establishments. Shit. I tore one thing after another out of the drawer, but I didn't come up with any clues as to where Rika-chan's house was. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. If you don't know, then just ask. Ask someone who does know. That's it. Reina's gotta know. I looked up Reina's phone number on the contact list. Reina Ryugu. There she was. Hello? Hello? This is Ryugu. It was the voice of a grumpy-sounding man. I know this because I already fucking read it. It must have been Reina's father. Luckily, I wasn't too far, but whatever. I'm calling in the middle of the night. I need to be polite. I'm sorry for calling so late at night. This is Maebara. Is there any chance Reina-san is around? Reina is taking a bath. Oh, she's done. Also forgot about Reina's name, but it sounds like it's supposed to be pronounced Rena, but I'm just gonna keep saying Reina. Reina, there's a friend of yours on the phone. Oh right, Reina Ryugu was her real name, wasn't it? I'd gotten so used to calling her Rena that hearing her real name caught me a little off guard. Hello, this is Reina. It's me, Keiichi. Sorry for calling so late. Keiichi-kun? What do you need at a time like this? Like this? Well, actually, I wanted to know where Rika-chan's house is. Reina seemed a little appalled that I'd called her for something like that at this hour. However, she spoke her next words seriously, as if she caught on to how urgent my need was. Okay, sure. You know the assembly hall on the grounds of the Furude Shrine? There's a 2-story shack used for storage behind it. That's where she lives. I couldn't immediately visualize the place, but as long as I knew she lived on the shrine grounds, I just have to take a look around. Got it, thanks. Sorry again for calling so late. Apologize to your dad for me too, would you? Okay, but Keiichi-kun, why do you want to know where Rika-chan lives? Reina asked in an unusually sharp way, halting me before I could hang up the phone. I hesitated for a moment about whether to tell her. He was killed because I told him. Keiichi-kun, if you're still listening, could you answer me? Why are you asking where Rika-chan lives at a time like this? Reina affected her usual tone, but beneath her words lay a certain tension, like she'd intuitively sensed something was going on. What will you do, Keiichi? If it's Reina, can't I tell her? He was killed because he found out. I revealed everything, so he was killed. Keiichi-kun? Reina's being serious. Please answer me. Reina answered me once again in a tone so forceful I couldn't imagine her ever using it normally. I was taken aback by her vigor. Reina was Rika-chan's friend too. She had the right to be concerned about Rika-chan disappearing. If I told Reina, then even if only for a moment, I could drive away my horrifying fears. Reina, well, I can't exactly tell you why, but yes? Reina's tone was seriousness itself. Just from that tone, I could feel her saying, no matter what you say, Keiichi-kun, I'll believe you. That subtle sense of security gave me the courage to reveal the truth. I have a feeling that Rika-chan is in danger. You mean like a premonition? Or do you have some reason to believe she's in danger? I really didn't have time to go back and forth with Reina about this. Still, I think listening to her calm voice soothed my pointless impatience. I don't have much reason, but yet I still hesitated. I told Rika-chan that we had snuck into the ritual storehouse. The mayor, to whom Shion had confessed before that, had already disappeared. So it was possible that Rika-chan also... I didn't know how to explain it to Reina. While I was tongue-tied, Reina spoke up. Sorry for asking something so weird. I thought about it, and it isn't like you need to be sure. Reina laughed a little, seeming a bit absent-minded. I wasn't exactly in the mood to laugh, so this time I was dumbfounded. Reina continued in a cheerful yet still purposeful voice. You're worried about a friend. I don't think you need a reason to go and check on them. Even if Rika-chan was asleep and you ended up waking her up, if that was why you did it, then none of us would get mad. Oh my god, my voice hurts so much already. Reina, thank you. Okay then, Keiichi, just one thing. You called Rika-chan's house, right? Then you just couldn't get through, so that's why you asked me where her house is. The fact that she... it's a logical conclusion to come to, but... it's weird to me that she would, I don't know. The fact that she's confirming that is suspicious to me. Yeah, that's right. I must have called her for over 10 minutes. She could just be sleeping and not have noticed. Rika-chan's house is really small. She would definitely hear the phone ringing even if she was asleep. Sadako-chan is there too, so there's no way neither of them would notice. Huh? Sadako, you mean she's living with Rika-chan? Yeah. You didn't know? Well, we can talk about that later. Anyway, if you called that much and no one answered, then something's definitely wrong. Reina understood that the situation wasn't normal far faster than I could have ever imagined her to. It made her seem dependable. However, the fact that Reina had acknowledged this also meant that the best case possibility of it all just being the result of my own needless fears went out the window. I'll go to Rika-chan's house right now. Will you come with me? I can show you the way. Sounds good. Let's meet up at the same place as usual. I'll be waiting for you. No, wait. I'll come get you at your house. You just wait there. And tell your family you're coming with me to Rika-chan's house, okay? Will that be okay? We might lose time if you come here. Did you call Mi-chan too? She's really dependable at times like these. If you haven't, then I'll give her a call. My thoughts froze for a moment. Shiona just told me to be careful around Mion during our phone conversation a little while ago. I was saying in the last take of this that, I feel like it seems that every arc there's a new person to be... There's a certain person you need to be cautious of. But at the same time, Mion and Reina were both... The focus was Reina last time, the person that we were, suspicious of. And this time it's Mion. But they were still working together in the last one, so I have reason to believe that they're still working together in this arc. Reina's just a little bit more trustworthy. I'm eating some of the chocolate left over. But... what else did I say? I don't know. I'll just keep going. If the Sonozaki main house was somehow lurking behind the surface of the annual freak deaths, then the current heir to the family, Mion, wouldn't be uninvolved. So wouldn't that mean she wasn't uninvolved in what happened this year to Takano-san and Tomitake-san? And also the mayor's disappearance? Okay, bye. I'll be right over. Wait for me. That's all Reina said before hurriedly hanging up. Now wasn't the time to be doubting Mion. I needed to make sure that Rika-chan was safe. I got changed and grabbed the key to my bike. I figured things would go more smoothly if we met up in the place we usually do before school. Reina wouldn't need to come all the way to my house. My parents would probably have objected if I told them I was leaving, so I creeped out without a word. The night was unusually warm and disagreeably humid. God, like the humidity in the summer of like Japan. I went to Tokyo with my dad, like back in high school, and we went in June. It was fucking awful. Especially like in Tokyo, it's a densely populated city area, so like the electricity, cars, that just adds to the heat in a really shitty way. She said that Rika-chan and Sadako live together, right? Then it wasn't only Rika-chan, Sadako wasn't there either. Realizing what them living together really meant caused my thoughts to immediately take a turn for the worse. That can't be. Sadako is... she's got nothing to do with any of this. Even if there were a reason for Rika-chan to disappear, there shouldn't be one for Sadako. Keiichi-kun? Reina was really fast. She approached me on her bike at an amazing speed. Her breath was ragged, painting a clear picture for just how hurriedly she'd been going. Hey, Reina, let's get going. Keiichi-kun, I thought I told you to wait at your house. Reina's expression was all business. Was she mad? It came out of the blue and I faltered for a moment. Well, I just figured it would be faster to meet up here. Keiichi-kun, don't you get it? Reina shouted, clearly angry. I feel like shouting in the middle of the night, because like obviously she wants him to stay at his house so that way he's not alone, so that way Keiichi doesn't disappear as well, or get killed. But there was already 2 deaths, so like I don't quite understand. What if there's no curse and it's just people getting killed and disappearing? That seems to be what I believe so far. Reina shouted, clearly angry. I'd never seen Reina like this before. Do I get it? What's the problem? Reina seemed to notice she was scaring me, took a couple of deep breaths, then continued as if admonishing me, but her expression didn't soften at all. Keiichi-kun, the whole village is in an uproar right now that the village elder disappeared, right? Yeah. Now you're telling me that Rika-chan and Sadako-chan aren't where they're supposed to be, right? Yeah, that about sums it up. Then you need to be more careful. Do you have any idea how dangerous it is to be standing out here alone in the middle of the night? I began to understand where Reina's anger was coming from. You told your family you'd be going to Rika-chan's house with me, didn't you? So that in the worst case scenario, if you and I were to disappear, people would know when and where we did. Reina was perfectly level-headed in this emergency situation. Ever since the night of the Waranagashi, every night someone had died or disappeared. Oh my god, how many times do they have to fucking say that shit? On the night itself, Takano-san and Tomitake-san met strange ends. On the next night, the elder vanished. Now, on the next night after that, Rika-chan and Sadako were nowhere to be found. I hadn't been thinking of anyone but myself, but it wasn't enough to say that Hinamizawa was a little weird at the moment. In fact, it was extremely strange. Reina had even anticipated our own disappearances and had told me to tell my family where I was going. It is very important if you go to someone's house you've never met before, or like you're going somewhere that's not part of your routine, like you should definitely tell someone. Like, and just like drop the address just to be safe. Like, even if you don't go alone, like something can still potentially happen. I was embarrassed at my own carelessness, and the need to be embarrassed made me afraid of the night. Sorry, I didn't tell them yet. Okay, then let's go tell them together. With Raina beside me, I wheeled back towards my house. It's assumed that he went and told them, but like that happened off screen, I guess. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky, a sky that was uselessly vast and cold, so that no matter what, it would never seem to me like a dream. This cruel fact had already confronted me. On such a crazy night, Reina had been unimaginably dependable. Hinamizawa's metamorphosis, enough to make Reina caution me against carelessness, was, to me, the most fearsome thing of all. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky. We met up with Mion on the way, and she, of course, was unsure whether to believe me about Rika-chan and Sadako's disappearance. I have a bad feeling about this. Like, why did you have to tell Mion about this, Reina? But also, like, I wouldn't trust Reina either, knowing what I know now. Kei-chan, are you serious? I'm going to get really mad if this is a joke. Mion was clearly displeased. If this were a joke, it wasn't very funny. I understood how indiscreet my words were. Ever since the day before yesterday, someone had either died or vanished every night. Rika-chan and Sadako disappearing after all that was something you just couldn't say, even in jest. Mi-chan, if it really is a joke, don't get mad, smile. It would be a joke after all. We need to go make sure whether it is a joke or not. You're right. Sorry for getting upset. However indiscreet a joke it may have been, if we learned that our friends were safe, it would end up as nothing more than a funny story. Having been warned about that by Reina, Mion gave a dry smile, the tension she felt loosening up a bit. She mounted her bicycle as well. Our 3 bicycles' lights flashed down the pitch-black roads. They were some of the only illumination outside. Kei-chan, why did you suddenly decide to call and ask about Rika-chan's house at a time like this? Mion asked me the same thing I had trouble explaining to Reina. Would it be weird to call it a premonition? I couldn't quite tell because it was dark, but I thought I could see Mion smiling very ambiguously. I definitely understood that she wasn't convinced, though, despite the darkness. Well, I had this bad dream while I was snoozing, and I couldn't get it out of my head. So, did Rika-chan get kidnapped in the dream? Well, it was more of a vague feeling sort of thing. If Rika-chan had answered the phone, I would have called you and Reina after that. Lies smoothly babbled out of my mouth, makeshift though they were. I was lying because I thought telling them I was connected to Shion would be like silently admitting we'd stolen into the ritual storehouse together that night. Mion didn't press me any further. I don't know whether that convinced her, or maybe she figured that making sure Rika-chan and Sadako were safe would be faster than making an issue out of it. I think she's playing dumb, Keiichi. Holy fucking shit. Like, I don't fucking trust Mion. I felt relieved and immediately a little guilty. Mion hadn't really been acting any differently these last few days, but I'm still trying to distance myself from her for some reason. It was only because of what I heard from Shion and Oishi-san, that she was the successor to some kind of super extravagant gang family. No, was I just trying to force myself to forget? Yes. Don't do that, Keiichi Maibara. Wasn't it Mion who was the first to ask about the night of the Watanagashi? In such a harsh tone at that? Have I already forgotten the terror I felt? At the time, Mion looked like someone different from the Mion I knew. Much like Reina in the last arc. When I think about that Mion, then Shion and Oishi-san's descriptions of Mion made a tiny bit more sense. That's it, isn't it? If it wasn't for how she acted that day, then I wouldn't be feeling this way towards her now. What on earth was going on with her back then? I was conveniently thinking only of everything she had done after that, while disregarding the very first thing, the thing I should have been looking at most, wasn't I? Mion was pedaling her bicycle in front of me, her long hair fluttering in the wind. No matter how long I looked at her back, it never gave me answers to any of my questions. We went all the way to the stone steps leading up to the shrine grounds. Of course, we weren't going to want to haul our bikes up there, so we parked them beside the staircase instead. So, this is the Furude Shrine. Everybody comes and goes as they please, as if it were a park, but this place is actually a grand estate owned by the Furude family, so the entire shrine is private property. It really makes you feel the passage of time. 10 or 20 years ago, it would have looked the exact same. Then wouldn't that mean that the Furude family is really old, with a history going back for generations? Yeah. They're gone. That's odd. Reina said something clearly disquieting, so I ran over to her. What's wrong, Reina? Rika-chan and Sadako-chan always leave their bicycles here. See? They're gone. I took a look around. Indeed, there were no other bicycles aside from the ones we'd taken to get here. Couldn't they have parked them somewhere else? Could they have brought them up the stairs? Those girls couldn't do that, Keiichi-kun. Just as she said, I couldn't imagine Rika-chan and Sadako lugging their bikes all the way up there. We hadn't yet knocked on Rika-chan's door, but reality was already sparking some ideas that weren't what you'd call good. Maybe they were just parked under some trees and we hadn't noticed them. I refused to believe that not being able to find their bikes here was proof that they disappeared. Let's go. The only way to be sure is to check their house. We all nodded and dashed up the stone steps. We passed through the red arch and came out onto the shrine grounds, which was covered in neat gravel. It was so quiet here, as though the Wananagashi festival had never happened. So, where's the house they live in? Over here. Come with me. Reina took the lead and sprinted off. We went towards the assembly hall behind the shrine, then looped back around behind it. In the darkness of the night, we found a small, prefab, 2-story shack that looked like a warehouse. The lights are off. Are they sleeping? I don't like... Well, Reina's also got her default smile on, so like... But I also don't trust Reina either. Let's knock. Reina and Mion neared the shack, which didn't really look like a place where people would live. They had such a beautiful shrine, so I figured they'd live in an equally beautiful house. It was far from what I had expected. Rika-chan, Sadako-chan, are you there? Reina shouted up towards the second floor. I hope I haven't been saying the wrong names. Her voice was restrained at first, but it steadily grew louder. No answer. In fact, there wasn't any sort of activity in the house at all. They might be sleeping. Let's wake them up. Mion banged on the shutter with both hands, and the loud sounds echoed into our surroundings. They would have to notice this much noise. They would turn on the light in their room, fling open the windows, and yell, "What time do you think it is?" That, however, wasn't happening. There was absolutely no response. Mion stopped slamming her fists on the shutter, and a sudden silence fell over us. The silence aroused terrible thoughts in us. I could feel the blood draining from my face. It's locked. I wonder if we can get into somehow. Reina showed no signs of stopping. It didn't look like she would admit they weren't there until we went inside and saw for ourselves. That refusal to give in gave me strength. The second-story windows wouldn't be locked. I'll give them a try. Kei-chan, a ladder. Mion brought over a ladder that was standing against the house. The footing was a little unstable for me to be climbing it, but Mion held the ladder firmly in place for me. I hadn't climbed too many ladders. My inexperience with them exposed, I climbed up one step at a time and tried to open each window on the second floor. Michan, I'm going to go check the main house just to be sure, okay? I'll be right back. Reina darted away. What? A main house? It's the Furude family's actual house. After her parents passed away, I think it's been left like that. Ah, right. Rika-chan's parents, they passed away, huh? At that point, I recalled something else. Wasn't Sadako living here too? Sadako is also an orphan. Her parents fell from a cliff because of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Then her older brother, Satoshi-kun, he disappeared. Satoshi, I've heard that name before. I remembered. He was the one who disappeared last year because of the curse. Ever since then, Sadako and Rika-chan have been living in this shack. Neither of them has any family, but at least they're together. I just remembered I need to continue my streak on Pokemon Go. Because it's almost midnight. Ever since then, they've been living in the shack. Neither of them has any family, but at least they're together. They help each other out. Reina said main house, didn't she? Wouldn't it be easier to live there? I'm gonna catch this Charmander. Oh, I got an excellent throw. I never get those anymore. I've been trying to like perfect my throw. Fucking ran off. Which is fine. There's a Baneri. Got it. Yes. Damn, I haven't caught a Baneri this whole time. I recently started playing Pokemon Go after like years, because like it was just like trying to log into my account was really difficult for some reason. I'm gonna get these other guys. I've got a Ghastly and a Slowpoke here. You fucking bitch. Also, I always throw curveballs. Always. Unless it's like they're really up close and you can just like boop. Like have a really small throw. Okay. Let's see, did I get any gifts? Alright, sent a gift. My work here is done. Okay. I'm still alive, right? Thank God. Okay. Main house, wouldn't it be easier to live there? The curtains were drawn, so I couldn't get a good look inside to see, but two young girls living together seemed like a pretty tough life. I think she tried that at first. She said it was hard though because it reminded her of her parents. I had no idea. I feel really bad for them. They were normally so cheerful at school that I never even realized an atom of this. Rika-chan and Sadako-chan, they have it hard, huh? She's cursed. Oh fuck, Mion. Mion's just like, don't feel bad for those fucking bitches. Huh? Suddenly, Mion said something in such a low voice that it sounded like she was really cursing someone, and I didn't let it slide. This is where I left off too, like right before Mion said this. I turned around on the ladder to face her and asked her again. Mion, what did you just say? I said she's cursed. Mion, still holding onto the ladder, brought her head up to look me in the eyes. As soon as our eyes met, an absolute zero jolt of electricity surged through my body. Mion's eyes clouded over, and within them boiled and bubbled a stew of chaos. They whirled around and around like a raging sea, and bubbles floated to the surface. I had, at some point, been trapped on this ladder, like being cornered on a dead-end street. Neon, why are you making that face? I intended to follow that up with, "You're going too far with this joke," and give her a forced smile. However, on such uneven footing as I was, the only thing that came out of my mouth was a hoarse groan as I desperately struggled to not let nausea overwhelm me. "Sadako Hojo, she's been cursed by Oyashiro-sama," Mion answers, with a response to something I never asked, as if replying to someone else's question. The only people who fell from the park observation platform were her parents. Only her parents, who treated her like dirt, died that day. She was the only one to survive. Then she was sent to live with her aunt, who treated her cruelly, and the aunt was killed on the night of the Wananagashi by some deviant who beat her to death so violently her brains were everywhere and her head was an entirely different shape by the end of it. Then Satoshi-kun, who always protected her, he suddenly disappeared on her birthday. Someone made him disappear, even though he wasn't abusing her. The police judged him to have run away from home, but Satoshi-kun wasn't the kind of person who would do that. He was always earnest. He would never ask for anyone's help. He would always drag himself through everything with hard work alone. He worked so hard he nearly ground his bones into dust, all for his one and only little sister, and yet someone made him disappear. She was the only thing he lived for, and yet someone made him disappear. Poor Satoshi-kun. He was never rewarded, that Satoshi-kun. How ungrateful that child is. She's cursed. All who get near her suffer the same fate. The curse kills them, or the curse makes them disappear. She cannot have any relief. She cannot have any relief. It's probably Satoko's fault that Rika-chan had disappeared too. It has to be. 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 It has to. It has to. Has to. Has to. What the fuck? Neon was mumbling words over and over that were no longer coherent. Her shoulders were trembling so hard that I could feel it through the ladder. I almost lost my footing, which made me realize just how far away the ground really was. Calm down, Mion. I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't sure if she even heard me. Mion rocked back and forth, and that rocking and trembling became even more violent. Help me. The ladder, it's falling. Help me. Help. Just then, I heard the sound of many people running towards us. Oh, hey! Over here! I very nearly said help me outright. 4 or 5 adults led by Reina ran over here with flashlights. Kiichi-kun, Mi-chan, sorry I took so long. I borrowed the key. Oh, nice one. Seems all the windows and doors are perfectly sealed. I was getting worried. When I heard Mion talking like nothing had happened, I again felt a chill run through me. The person currently holding the ladder in place, it was definitely Mion. It was the real Mion Sonozaki. Then, the person muttering to themselves. Just a few seconds ago, who was that? The person who was mumbling about terrible things, like curses. Who was that? I jumped down from the ladder as if running away, before Mion turned into that person who wasn't Mion a second time. The adults tried a few different keys on a key ring as they tried to open the big shutter on the first floor. Rika-chan's house used to be a disaster shelter for the town council, so the key to the shutter is still kept in the mayor's house. It's Rika-chan and Sadako's private residence now, though. Well, this is on Rika-chan's property anyway. No one complains about it. Mion gave me a smile as she said that. I, however, could only return her gaze with an aghast expression. Mion was acting all too normal now, but that only contrasted all the more sharply with her earlier un-Mion-like creepiness. Bang, bam, clatter, clatter, bang. The shutter opened up for the first time in a very long while. Reina located the light switch and wasted no time going inside. I followed her in. Rika-chan, Sadako-chan, if you're here, say something. We climbed a narrow staircase. It had looked like nothing more than a warehouse, but now that I was inside, I could feel how lived in it was. It was a person's home. Somehow, the scent of the two of them filled the place. It was definitely where Rika-chan and Sadako lived. First floor doubled as a town assembly warehouse. New music. But the second floor was a space entirely for living. Just like a one-room apartment, past the kitchen was a living room taking up about 150 square feet. Dressers, cupboards, and the like were packed into the space, and in the corner there was a huge pile of clothes that appeared to have just been taken in from drying outside. And in the center of the living room was a fold-up table, and on it were small containers for things like soy sauce and salad dressing. The sense of a frugal lifestyle drifted from all of it. It was strange that they weren't here in the middle of the night like this. The adults climbing the stairs one at a time began to make a fuss and talk amongst themselves. So, not here? Yeah, they're not here. This is definitely weird. The village had just been thrown into chaos yesterday because of the mayor's disappearance. Then today, even Rika-chan and Sadako had... Were they out playing somewhere together? That can't be. Their bicycles aren't here, though. Where would they have gone so late at night? Have they just not come back yet? Where did they go? The adults put forth various possibilities, and the house immediately devolved into a state of confusion. Eventually, Mion settled them down. I don't want to believe it, but the mayor, Kimiyoshi, disappeared yesterday. We can't say that this is unrelated. The adult's faces paled at Mion's declaration. Mine and Reina's did as well. Let's see. They could have gone nearby for some tea or something, then accidentally fallen asleep. Whoever invited them might just not be able to wake them up at all, too. Let's eliminate that possibility first. Makino-san, please go around the houses near the stream. Keitaro-san, go look near Ojago Lake. Ojago. Okay, yeah. Okamura-san, Mion promptly gave directions to the villagers. The adults followed them without hesitation despite her age. We'll remain here and call up anyone we can think of off the phone. We can think of on the phone. Okay, everyone, you have your orders. Got it. All the adults were... I'm getting ahead of myself. The adults all roared in reply and pounded back down the stairs below. Wow, Mi-chan, you're not only chairperson of the school, but Hinamizawa too. No time for jokes. Hey, step aside. This old man is using the phone. Mion grinned proudly, took the receiver, and got started. With this music, it feels so creepy, like they're role-playing that, like, where's Rika? Where's Sadako? I don't fucking believe it. Reina gave Mion a trusting look, considering her dependable for doing all this. My feelings, though, were a little more complicated, since her leadership seemed to be affirming the Sonozaki family's successor's impression that Shion and Oishi-san had given me. Okay. Stop right there, Keiichi Maibara. None of that matters right now. The most important thing is to make sure Rika-chan and Sadako are safe. Let's see. Couldn't there be a clue hinting at where they might have gone somewhere in this room? Still, though, I wouldn't know what to look for anyway. If we tore the whole place apart and figured out what was different from before, we might be able to speculate, but there was nothing strange about this room, and there were no clues in sight. In the first place, I had never been here before. There was no way for me to know what was different if I didn't know how the room usually looked. Hey, don't give up, Keiichi Maibara. Stop thinking and start looking for something. In search of something, I tried pulling open the dresser drawers and opened the windows. I didn't uncover anything meaningful, though. Reina was unable to stand around doing nothing, was looking around the room like I was. Reina, I don't think you'll find Rika-chan by opening the refrigerator or the cabinet underneath the sink. I just thought they might be hiding. As we were searching, it got noisy outside. Villagers were quickly assembling here, having heard the commotion. Of course, a lot of them were probably people Mion had called. I'll go tell everyone what's going on. The police will be here sooner or later, too. We'll need to explain the situation to Oishi. Mion began descending the stairs, and we followed her out to the front of the house. There were already around 10 adults there, and all of them looked uneasy. I suddenly noticed that the old people from the shrine were here as well, and they were praying for Rika-chan's safety, rubbing their prayer beads. Has it gotten bad? This wasn't just a problem between friends anymore. Mion-chan, is it true that Rika-chan and Sadako-chan aren't anywhere to be found? The villagers all formed a ring around Mion, swarming her. Mion raised her right hand, as if silently telling them to calm down. First, let's check every house according to the town council's notification division and see if they're visiting anyone. After all, they could be fast asleep at someone's house and totally unaware that we're looking for them. It would definitely be hard for someone to wake up Rika-chan if she had eaten a good, full meal and fallen asleep like a kitten afterwards. Oh, how nice it would be if that were the case. I don't want to think about this, but it's also possible something bad has happened. Mion's face grew remarkably more grim, and a wave of silence washed over the adults. We should divide up the work, too. We'll go around to all the places we went last night while looking for the mayor. We'll go look around the dam construction site as best as we can. You guys go search around the school. Right. Let's get a move on. Come on, let's go. All of you were up late last night looking for the mayor. I know you're all low on sleep, but please do your best. Got it. With that as their signal, the adults scattered in every direction. I figured I should scatter somewhere as well, so I started walking unsteadily in a direction no one else had gone in. I was getting farther and farther from people. I didn't feel scared or anything, though. If someone were made to disappear, Shion and I would be first. It would have been perfectly normal for me to be scared of the dark. However, I didn't feel that way. Why was that? It's because tonight, someone had already disappeared. So nobody else would disappear tonight. It would take some time before I, exhausted as I was, would feel guilt at the cause of my own selfish sense of relief. I don't know, man. A lot of the expectations of the curse have already been undone. I thought it was the end of the thing. Suddenly, my vision cleared and a cold wind caressed my body. This was the hill from which you could see the whole village. Looking down from this hill, I could see lights here and there, and knew that the entire village had awoken from its slumber. First Takano-san and Tomitake-san, then the mayor, and now even Rika-chan and Sadako had been sacrificed, and the word of it was spreading everywhere. The strength in my knees left me. This could no longer be a joke. We could have found them. Mion would have told me I was a worrywart. Reina would just be glad we did, and they would have smiled at me. My hopes disappeared as if I were awakening from a dream. That was what the view I could see was telling me. Following my knees, my arms both bent forward onto the ground, and I clawed at it with my nails. I couldn't figure out if I was feeling sorrow or frustration. Is this my fault? I couldn't endure the burden of my own sin, and I had just told Rika-chan about it. They had nothing to do with it, but Rika-chan and even Sadako had been sacrificed. It was like a cross that Shion and I would each have to bear the weight of until we ourselves were erased. Well, if I'm going that far, then the problem started long before that. My original sin of breaking taboo and entering the ritual storehouse without asking. I knew I shouldn't have gone in there from the start, yet I lost out to cheap curiosity. I hadn't felt so angry at myself until this very moment. There was a crunching sound. I wasn't even interested in who made the noise. despondent as I was. Kage-kun? Kage-kun, are you okay? It was Reina. Perhaps my clawing at the ground made it look as though I was having stomach pains. She ran over and rubbed my back like she was trying to make me feel better. This is all my fault. It's because of me. It's my fault. Kage-kun's fault? You didn't do anything wrong. Please don't blame yourself for this. I could tell Reina was doing her best to choose the right words out of consideration for me. That's why I could sense her intent behind those words. Kage-kun, you know my Rika-chan and Sadako-chan disappeared, don't you? Is what she really meant to say. Because it was an emergency, Reina had ignored the reason why I wanted to make sure Rika-chan was safe, but now that we'd actually confirmed her disappearance, it was only natural Reina would start to wonder about why. However, with the situation having gone this far, I couldn't possibly tell her now. I didn't want to admit that Rika-chan and Sadako had disappeared, but I couldn't let Reina disappear either. Kage-kun, if you stay out here in the wind, you'll catch a cold. Reina sat down, bringing her eyes level with mine. They told us that children should go back home to sleep. Reina showed me her watch as she said that. It was long past 1 in the morning. Time was passing too quickly. Had I been crawling around here for that long? If we don't sleep soon, we'll have trouble getting up for school tomorrow. Even the adults are really worn out, since they were up searching for the mayor last night too. They were saying they'd break up a little earlier tonight. I was a little upset that they weren't allotting as much time to this as they had to search for the mayor last night. But that was something I, the cause of everything, had no right to criticize them for. It's alright. The police arrived a little while ago. Look, there's police cars coming into the village right now. Hearing that remark, I looked down into the village to see that there were indeed more cars than one would normally expect at this hour, coming from the darkness on the other side of the mountain. However, none of their emergency lights were on. Of course, their sirens weren't wailing either. That's right. All of the incidents that occurred right after Wada Nagashi were seen as the product of Oyashiro-sama's curse, and would be handled in secrecy. So, Rika-chan and Sadako too, their disappearance would end up exactly like the other serial incidents in the past. Surreptitious, unresolved, declared a mystery, and disappear from memory. Rika-chan's face, her sweet face, like a Western doll's, would fade away. Sadako's smile, her energetic fanged smile, would fade away. The more I tried to remember them, the less I would be able to. I deserved to be called an idiot dozens of times over, and it wouldn't be enough. I couldn't hold back the tears at my own sheer stupidity. I don't know what you're blaming yourself for, Kage-kun, but you should stop. I wasn't about to deny it. I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't affirm it either. I wanted to at least keep Reina out of this. If she found out, she would become involved. Please, Reina, could you just leave me alone? Even if I went home, I wouldn't be able to sleep. If I couldn't get to sleep, then I at least wanted to search for Rika-chan and Sadako until I collapsed. The entire village was looking, and yet they still hadn't been found. I don't think I'd be able to find them if I went looking alone at this point. Still, I had to do it. They disappeared because of me. I couldn't possibly go to sleep while other people are out there searching. I'd said that to myself in self-deprecation, but I soon realized that Reina was silently trying to find the meanings in my mumblings. I realized I had misspoke. It's Kage-kun's fault? Why do you think that? Why? That can't be. Kage-kun, you're not at fault. I was happy that Reina said these things to me, but she only did so because she didn't know the truth. If she knew that everything had been caused by my breaking taboo on the night of the Wada Nagashi, then even Reina would curse my existence. However, I can't even allow for those curses. That would mean confessing my own crimes to Reina. If I spilled even one word of having snuck into the ritual storehouse on the night of the Wada Nagashi, then even Reina could disappear tomorrow night. The gentle, spirited, always joking, always hawing, but at a time like this, the most dependable person in the world, Reina might disappear. I don't want that. Anything but that. This time, I need to bear my own cross. Alone. Kage-kun, I know that you always have your friends in your heart. I can really understand feeling like you want to kick yourself. Reina knows, though, that it's not Kage-kun's fault. You didn't do anything wrong, Kage-kun, and I know that. You know that? The shivering in my veins rushed up my back and replaced the sorrow in my heart with fear. I didn't tell her anything, did I? Maybe I accidentally said something that caused Reina to figure it out? This is bad. Now Reina will disappear. Reina will disappear. Reina will disappear. Then Reina, the same way I always did, grabbed my head and began to pet it roughly. Kage-kun, are you thinking that Reina might disappear now too? Because of Oyashiro-sama's curse? She puts more force into the hand rubbing my head. You don't need to worry about that. Reina isn't going anywhere. I promise. Why? How can you say that with such confidence? I mean, someone's been sacrificed every night so far. It's because Reina's the bad guy. There was no proof that it wouldn't happen again tomorrow night. There was even less proof, after all, that the sacrifice wouldn't be Reina. I don't care who you are. Just please, if you're going to erase someone, erase me first. Please stop cruelly getting rid of people we're close to, like the mayor for Shion, and Rika-chan and Sadako for me. Shion's hysterical shouting came back to mind. They must be planning to kill us last of all. They're not killing the first people who come to mind. They start by killing those we're close to, and then after they've caused us so much pain, they'll kill us. That must be what they're doing. Reina. Hi, Peter. Aww. Ooh. Please, don't disappear. Please don't, as long as I'm still here. I could no longer conceal the sobs welling up within me. Come on, Kage-kun. Crying doesn't suit you. Let's go back to the others. The housewives are cooking some miso soup for us. It'll warm me up and calm me down. Reina prompted me to stand. I didn't have the energy to oppose her, so I stood as she urged me to. Something's telling me you shouldn't go with her. We returned to the shrine grounds to find several gas stoves there with miso soup in big pots. The many villagers there sipped at the soup as they were given in dead, stony silence. Their expressions were absolutely exhausted. Everyone had just been running around the village until a little while ago. From the dreary looks on their faces, though, I assumed they hadn't come up with anything yet. Kei-chan, where did you go? I was worried you disappeared too. Sorry. Mion held out some miso soup for me, but I refused the offer. I didn't have much of an appetite. Mi-chan, how is it? Did you find any clues? Mion took a sip of her soup, her expression frank. Not at all. School ended, and they went home. Then the two of them went somewhere on their bicycles. Moreover, nobody ever saw them riding their bikes, so... When it gets dark out in Hinamizawa, people quickly vanish from the streets. Aside from adults hurrying back home from town in cars or on bicycles, it was normal to see absolutely nobody walking around outside. It wasn't at all strange that nobody had seen Rika-chan and Sadako riding their bikes. It was the same last night with the mayor. There's no hope. Mion's apathetic tone pricked my nerves, but that anger quickly subsided. She'd been doing all sorts of things to try and find Rika-chan until just a second ago. If I asked her, she'd probably say she was up all night last night too, looking for the mayor, wouldn't she? She must have been far more fatigued than I was. Besides, what about me? I'd spent the time hunched over in indecision all alone. I had no right to say anything about Mion. Kei-chan, I know it's hard, but let's turn in for the night. I just decided we should break up the search for now. Drink this and let's call it quits. Is this the end? Oh, no, of course not. Once it's bright out again, we'll do a thorough search with the police's help. They could have gone to Okonomiya too. People are even saying we should go through all of Shishibone's city, investigating whether there are any witnesses for both the girls and the mayor. Anyway, what happened, Kei-chan? Where did you go off to? You vanished all of a sudden. I was really worried. Suddenly I was on the receiving end, but I didn't have the willpower to respond. Sorry, I'll be more careful. Nothing happened? There wasn't anyone suspicious spying on or stalking you. Nothing like that? Mion demanded with a serious expression. I was being criticized for how inconsiderate I had been. Despite being in so much pain, I was frustrated that I was being criticized. But it was my sin. My sin, and I am a spirit alone. Nothing. I'll be careful. Either way. Sorry. Mion, now aware that nothing had happened, heaved a big sigh with her shoulders, looking relieved. Oh, my. I knew I smelled something good coming from over here. I'd be much obliged if you allowed me to have some. We heard the repulsive voice of a fat man. It was Oishi-san, trailed by a handful of police officers. He was acting energetically in a way unfitting given the situation. There's not much left, but you can have some if you want. Mion didn't like Oishi-san very much. Her cold attitude, though, didn't seem to bother Oishi-san in the slightest. It was like splashing water in a frog's face. Well now, miso soup leftovers have a bit too much salt for my taste. Confound it. Would you all like any? He recommended it to his subordinates, but everyone gave dry smiles and refused. So have the police gotten hold of any clues? Reina's smile was warm enough to replace the miso soup. Hi, Peter. Hi. Don't you worry, little missy. Everything's fine. We're searching for them real good. He didn't say a word about having found any new clues. In other words, there had been no progress. That sure was an annoying way of beating around the bush. In any case, it really has gotten late. All of you youngsters should get on home and get some sleep. It'll be bad for your health otherwise. Yeah, Kei-chan, Reina, get some rest. These guys get our tax money. They'll handle it for us. We're taxpayers too, you know. It's like we're drinking our own piss. I really wasn't in the mood for laughter. In fact, Oishi-san was the only one laughing like an idiot. Okay, seriously, please do your best. Let's go home, Kage-kun. It'll be harder to wake up tomorrow if we don't. Yes, that's right. I can always bring you home if you need. Kuma-chan, why don't you bring the car around? No thanks. We came on our bicycles, so... No need to worry. We came in a truck. We'll just throw the bikes in the back. We may have gotten pretty sleepy, but we just needed to ride home at this point. I didn't want to bother the police like that. Reina, however, nodded. Okay, if you insist, we'd appreciate it. It's probably safer than if we went back alone. Should we trust Oishi-san? When I thought about it carefully, I realized that Reina's idea was extremely rational. Now that it's decided, let's get a move on, shall we? Okay, bye. Good night, Reina, Kei-chan. Yeah, Mi-chan, you go to bed soon too, okay? Good night. I waved my hand as well, saying goodbye. What good friends. Rika-chan and Sadako still hadn't been found. My unease, however, was steadily being pushed away by sleepiness. Reina showed the police where our bicycles were so that Oishi-san could haul them up into their truck. He prompted us to get into the back seat. I could hear the springs squeaking as I sat down onto a seat that would normally hurt my rear end, but at this point it was very soft and was more than comfortable enough for me to fall asleep on. Ladies first, we'll start with the little Mrs. house. Where do you live? Thank you. My house is, well... Did I fall asleep? Reina's voice slowly grew distant. I felt myself being sucked into the void of sleep. Hello? Maibara-san, are you asleep back there? Huh? When I came to, it was quiet. The car was parked. Oishi-san was giving me light slaps to the cheek. It didn't feel good at all, so I woke up immediately. I'm sorry, I just fell asleep. Something was being held right under my nose. A clump of metal? It was a can of coffee. It's lukewarm by now, but cafe au lait is good even at room temperature. Oh, thanks. I mechanically took the can and opened the pull top. The feeling of the warm, sweet liquid going down my throat awakened my sleepy mind. I guess he smelled the metal? When my drowsiness receded, I started wanting to know why the car was stopped, and why I was offered coffee. Oishi-san, who had been in the driver's seat, had at some point moved to the back. Suddenly, I had a very bad feeling about this. It reminded me of the questioning yesterday at the library. It was already too late by the time I realized I'd made a mistake. Today, of all days, it didn't look like I would be getting away. I had a feeling that until Oishi-san heard what he wanted to, he wouldn't be letting me go. Please, don't get all formal on me. I'm not going to eat you or anything. My bar-san. Oishi-san gulped down the last of his coffee, then stretched wide, showing me how relaxed he was. That, however, only served to heighten my nervousness. What do you need from me? Need? Oh, no, nothing really. You're going to evade the question at this point? What a deeply unreadable man. Well, I don't need you for anything. I just thought you might need something from me, my bar-san. I don't need anything. Oh, I see. Really? Are you sure there's nothing? There's only one side door in the back seat of this truck. In other words, my only exit was blocked off by Oishi-san. Damn. That's pretty fucking unsafe. What a shitty design. I couldn't get away. I could only limply hang my head and maintain my silence. Oishi-san, despite my reticence, relaxed and began smoking a cigarette. The cries of the insects outside seemed to be growing longer and longer, to an amount of time that almost seemed infinite. Here I was sure that you had something you wanted to talk to me about. Oishi-san exhaled a puff of smoke. The windows were open, but the tobacco smoke still accumulated inside the vehicle. How much did Oishi-san know? What did he know, and what did he want to hear from me? Peter's so sweet right now. If finding out the truth made you disappear, then if I told him, would Oishi-san disappear too? I had a feeling that I didn't need to worry about that in his case. I wonder how all this ended up happening. Oishi-san addressed me in a low tone as if he was talking to himself. How all this ended up happening. How the hell should I know? That was what I wanted to know. You know Jiro Tomitake-san and Mio Takano-san, right? I know you do, because I personally witnessed you with them during the festival, along with Shion Sonozaki-san. Do you know how Tomitake-san and Takano-san are doing now? They've actually, passed away. They met very untimely deaths. Oishi-san probably played that card in order to surprise me. However, I already knew and didn't display the extreme reaction he expected. What's this? Do you already know? Unfortunately for this question in particular, remaining silent was equivalent to saying yes. Oh, so then did you also know the reason Tomitake-san and Takano-san were cursed like that? People are saying that apparently they went into some forbidden building. The storehouse for ritual implements. That forbidden shed, sealing away Hinamizawa's blood-stained past. Where the mistake that started it all happened. Do you know about the rumors that say the mayor and Rika Furude-san were cursed because of that too. That would mean it was mine and Shion's fault. He was right. As soon as we revealed what we did. What did they call it? A ritual storehouse? They're saying it was bad luck. The lock to it had been replaced by a simpler one, which made it easier for thieves to get inside. What? This was news to me. Until last year, it apparently had these big bars and a huge padlock on it. I mean, you know, ever since the priest and his wife passed away, Rika Furude-san had been managing the place, right? Apparently she talked to the mayor saying she wanted them replaced with a lighter, more simpler padlock because the bars were too heavy for her. I didn't know anything about those big bars he was talking about, but the lock had certainly been a simple one. It was a pretty cheap one too, and it didn't really fit my impression of what a lock for a place you'd store something as important as ritual implements would look like. Rika-san is a small girl after all. The bars were heavy with rust, and they must have caused her a lot of trouble. So the mayor hired a craftsman and replaced the lock with a simple padlock so she could open it with a key. So, how does that mean it was bad luck? Here's what I'm saying. Thieves couldn't get in with the old tight lock. The mayor and Rika-san replaced it with a cheap lock and key on their own, so thieves broke into it. Apparently, that's how it's going down. That explanation's a bit... Letting that slide, certain members of the village delivered punishment upon the thieves who stole into the spiritual storehouse, as well as the mayor and Rika-san who changed the lock. At least those are the whispers that seem to be going around. My bar-san, what do you think? What do I think? I don't really know what you mean by certain members of the village. Are you familiar with the three families? Representatives from each of them gave short addresses at the Watanagashi Festival's opening ceremony. Did you see them? I came partway through the festival, so I don't really... The three families are the three oldest families in Hinamizawa. To give actual names, the Kimiyoshi family, the Sonozaki family, and the Furude family. They each have quite the lineage, it seems. Long ago, it said that everything in the village was decided by a council of the three families. The Kimiyoshi family, Old Man Kimiyoshi meaning the mayor's family. The Sonozaki family was Mion's. So the Furude family was Rika-chan's family then. Oh, that was just like a thought Keiichi had to himself. After the war... my fucking voice faded out. After the war, the Sonozaki family quickly expanded their influence. Practically speaking, after leading the fight against the construction during the dam conflict, they jumped to the top of the hierarchy in Hinamizawa. You see, though, in accordance with the old ways, they still decide important village matters after... Oh my god. You see, though, in accordance with the old ways, they still decide important village matters only after consulting with the three families. That's why the leaders of the three families each have their own address at the start of Watanagashi. In other words, the mayor, the old lady currently in charge of the Sonozaki family, and the last remaining member of the Furude family, Rika-san. I heard that the Sonozaki family was pretty high up there, so Rika-chan's family was just as old? Well, as you're aware, she has no relatives at all. In reality, the Furude family holds pretty much no influence. However, it seems like people gravitate towards Rika-san on a personal level, and I hear that many of the village's elderly have blind faith in her. It was certainly true that Rika-chan had an odd sort of charisma among the elderly. So what are you telling me about all this three family stuff for? Oishi-san paused for emphasis, lighting another cigarette. I've explained a lot, but I suppose it's still not enough. I'm asking because I don't understand. Oishi gave me a dry, meaningful grin and blew out another big puff of smoke. Members of the three families are disappearing one after the other. That's what I'm talking about. I've read that it's based on some kind of old traditions inherent in Hinamizawa, but I don't know much beyond that. I don't know anything about it either. I want some ramen so bad right now. I'm so hungry. That's why I'm asking. The leaders of the Kimiyoshi and Furude families have disappeared, so maybe the leader of the Sonozaki family will disappear next. Well, that's just a random idea bouncing around in my head at the moment. Just kidding, really. The leader of the Sonozaki family, who is it? The current leader is the old lady at their main house, but it wouldn't be incorrect to say that practically all the rights of leadership have been transferred to her granddaughter, Mion-san. The visage of Mion giving prompt directions to the adults while searching for Rika-chan sprung back to my mind. Mion? She's gonna disappear? I hadn't even thought of that possibility. All my hair stood on end. That's insane. Nobody wants that, right? Of course not. We can't allow that. Clamp. Oishi-san grabbed my shoulders with both hands. Then help us, Maebara-san. If there's anything you've noticed about Mion Sonozaki lately, please tell me. I was going along with him? By the time I realized that it was too late, Oishi-san brought his face in closer, almost close enough to ram into me, waiting for my next words. This pressure, I can't tear my eyes away from his. That moment, I heard a beeping sound. It was from the driver's seat. He ignored it first, but then it started to bother him, so he finally let go of me and leaned into the driver's seat. Hello? Yep, loud and clear. I was saved. Of course, it's not like I could escape through this opening. I see. Yes, alright. Let's head back then. Okay. Yes, okay. Apparently he was being recalled. Now that I knew I'd be freed, the tension in my body dissipated all at once. Looks like I need to get going. We were just getting to the good part, too. That's too bad. Oishi-san flung open the door, exited, and walked around to around the front to the driver's seat. He left the door open. Did that mean I could leave? You really care about your friends, Maebara-san. An admirable trait for a kid to have in this day and age. I totally understand that it feels like you've been betraying them if you told the police anything. Maebara-san, it's the middle of the night, so get a good night's sleep and then think about it. Just a little bit of courage from you might end up being what saves many of your friends in the end. Did he want to say that the sacrifices wouldn't stop with Rika-chan and Sadako? You know this already, but every night since the one on Akashi, something has happened. In the past, the curse only occurred once per year, but this time it's been going on for days. What a prosperous year this has been. I don't think you can call it prosperous. The night before last night, and now today. There's no proof that something wouldn't happen tomorrow night as well. It's our job to prevent such things before they happen, but for that, we need your cooperation, Maebara-san. I looked out the open door to see none other than my own house right in front of me. It creeped me out that he knew my name and address, but I was too sleepy right now. I was too sleepy to care. Well, you're probably tired. It's already 3 in the morning. Please, get yourself a good rest. Yes, sir. I'll be going now. When I was about to get out of the truck, as if to deliver a parting blow, Oishi-san said in a raised voice, I'll be coming by every day until you feel like talking, alright? I don't believe forcing you to confess in an interrogation room is really in fashion these days. I couldn't say anything in response, but me slamming the door shut probably served the same purpose. After lightly beeping the horn, Oishi-san's truck drove off. I went to the front door without waving goodbye. The door was locked, but the chain wasn't up. I unlocked the door and entered. Then walked over to the staircase. That was where I lost consciousness. Oh, come on. Ah! Cliffhanger, Peter. You received new tips. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to eat something and go to bed so that way I can fucking get myself up on time. I started to get my sleep schedule back on track, and now it's just fucked. So scrapbook 9. Sonozaki family. The one to drastically expand its influence after the war was the Sonozaki family. The leader at the time was Oryo Sonozaki, who still has that seat today. Oryo Sonozaki has grown old, and today you can only catch a glimpse of who she was at the time. From what I've been told, however, she was a leader extolled as the best in history. Having become so old, aside from going out a few times a week for lessons, she spends her time at home in solitude and seems to leave most of the ceremonial affairs to her heir, Mion. There are different views on why the successor was not her daughter, but her granddaughter Mion, but it's rumored that it has to do with disownment of her daughter and son-in-law. That uninhibited granddaughter, Mion Sonozaki, still shows no signs of the dignity required of the next leader. However, she does have Sonozaki blood in her veins and is permitted the name of Demon. She still doubtlessly requires caution, and is probably hiding her fangs and claws, as skillfully as the leaders of the past did. Okay. The elderly leader of the Sonozaki family? Yes, the postal worker hasn't seen anything either. Sonozaki main house has their seal hanging from the mailbox so that anyone can stamp their mail or parcels with it and drop it in. That's rather careless of them. So when was she last seen? I don't know how stamping mail works, but like that's just kind of like letting someone forge your signature, though. I've heard that a lot of I follow a lot of like Japanese creators and like people who've moved to Japan, and apparently you still need like a stamp in order to do like common transactions like applying to lease an apartment. So like if you forget your seal, like you're not getting anything done that day, like you have to have your seal with you. It's like a very old-fashioned thing, but like they don't do signatures, they just have stamps, is what I remember hearing. She was last seen at the Watanagashi opening ceremony greetings. She apparently returned home right after that. Well, she is pretty old. From what I've heard, she goes out a few times a week to take lessons, right? Have you found anything out about that? Every Monday she seems to go to the assembly hall to practice the Taisho Godo, but she didn't go this week. Any calls to say she wasn't going to be there? Has anyone confirmed it? No, nobody. She apparently takes days off once in a while, though, so no one thought it was strange. Tomorrow, why don't we pretend we're at the town hall and call around 10 o'clock? Please figure out whether she's at home. 10 o'clock? Got it. Ever since it started to seem more and more like ancient Hinamizawa traditions had something to do with all this, he'd been keeping a careful eye on the three families. At this point, the leader of the Kimiyoshi family and the leader of the Furude family had disappeared. There was only one leader left, Oryo Sonozaki, the leader of the Sonozaki family. She was apparently a pretty old woman. Her dignity hadn't waned, but she only appeared before people rarely, so it was difficult to confirm whether she was at any given time. She, the last leader, hadn't been seen since the day of the Watanagashi. Was she still alive and well within the Sonozaki main house? Or had she... According to Mion Sonozaki, she had fallen ill and was sleeping it off. I wonder if she's really sleeping. I'd like to take a look at her face and her pulse. You can say that again. The two of them breathed out a big puff of cigarette smoke. Oishi-san, about the search warrants for the Sonozaki main house and the Furude shrine, do you think we'll get them? Oishi didn't respond, exhaled another cloud of tobacco smoke. His surroundings now as foggy as his mind. So they think that Oreo is dead. Maybe at the hands of Mion, it seems. The hidden demon. The inhabitants of Hinamizawa believe that the blood of demons flows in their blood. As such, the character for demon is treated as very sacred. For example, usage of the character demon in names is apparently a right reserved only for the leaders of the Kimiyoshi and Sonozaki families. Case in point, we can see it in the current Sonozaki family leader's name. Oreo is written with the character blah blah blah. This and only this is proof that she is a legitimate leader of the Sonozaki family. In the same way, Mion Sonozaki, its successor, contains demon in her name, with Mi being written as that. It also goes for Oreo's daughter and Mion's mother Akane, who did not succeed her. It's known that before the disowning, Akane's name was actually written as this, though it changed afterwards to blah blah blah, blah still read as Akane. Incidentally, it's thought that the first character, the Mion Kichiro's name, originally meant demon, which can be also read as Ki. It should be said that names using the character demon aren't limited only to successors of the Sonozaki family. You can even find it in the last names of the three families. For example, the characters for Kimiyoshi are likely a split-up version of demon. If you write it in reverse and top to bottom as that, it clearly resembles the character demon. As for the Furide family, who have been in the Shinto priesthood for generations, the word for fortune teller can be written without interval characters as blank. I think that with the addition of the demon's horn, the tick on the top of the character demon, the fu, I don't know, like whatever that first character is, that became the blank that is used in their name now. I'm so tired. In the case of the Sonozaki family, where Sonozaki is written, I can't find any reference to the character demon, perhaps because it's already ingrained into their first names. They were the clan responsible for running the Watanagashi ceremony, so I think that instead they included the contents of that ceremony into their last name. The Zaki in Sonozaki is a conjugation of the word for slice, and the Sono, written as, probably contains the hidden meaning of human body, as it is a complicated mess, organs, enclosed by four sides. I think, in other words, that Sonozaki comes from those who slice open the gut. That makes sense. Request denied. Probably for the search warrants. I'm back. How did it go? Did you find any clues? The officers shook their head in disappointment. Exhaustion was plainly showing on everyone's faces. That was only natural. None of them had gotten a wink of sleep since the day of the Watanagashi. Chief, let the youngest of us take a nap, then switch them out. We've got a long stretch ahead of us, after all. Let's not push ourselves too hard. Rest up so we can take it easy as we go. I've been telling them to sleep in shifts. Nobody actually seems willing to sleep, though. Could you tell them yourself, Oishi-san? Oh, my. You don't need to force yourselves. Komiyama-kun, please let everyone sleep in shifts, starting with the youngest. Komiyama-san, please do that. After the chief told him as well, Komiyama-san left his seat. So, Chief, still no good on our request? It's just a rumor among the villagers in the first place, you know? It's going to be difficult without more concrete evidence. Even when that evidence might be tucked away in there? We need evidence that evidence is tucked away in there. Chief, don't start speaking in riddles to me now. We have witnesses to say that say 4 people, including the 2 who died, went into the forbidden ritual storehouse without permission. This is all reliable information. You might call it information, but they're really only rumors. There's not concrete evidence. While it's true that we don't have any pictures of the four of them sneaking in with cloth tied around their heads. Anyway, those four saw something inside the storehouse. Something important enough that they'd be erased. Important enough that they'd be erased? What would that be exactly? That's why I'm asking for a warrant to go looking for it in the first place. Anything pointing out the Sonozaki family's connections to violent organizations would be a major contender. Like a pile of Tokarevs or a secret poppy production facility. The secret Sonozaki family fortune would also be pretty difficult to discard. Look, Oishi-san, I know how you feel. However, that storehouse is a sacred building belonging to the Furude Shrine, and we need to have proper consideration for the locals when dealing with it. I heard that there was an hour-long call made from Congressman Sonozaki to the big man. Chief, could he have nailed you back down? Anyway, as long as we don't have suitable evidence, we won't get a search warrant for the storehouse. That goes for the Sonozaki main house, too. I don't know why that looked so weird to me. Like, could he have nailed you back down? Like, I don't know what they mean by the big man either. Like, Congressman Sonozaki, so like, would he be talking to someone higher up in government? I don't... That goes for the Sonozaki main house too, especially considering that the jurisdiction of both Section 4 and the Prefectural Police's Crime Prevention Division. We need careful preparations first. If you say you need preparations, then why don't you just let me talk with them directly? Shige-chan is the head of Section 4, right? For crime preventions, it's Yamaomi-san. They seem like they'd be quicker to talk to if I sat them down at a mahjong table. Chief, you have a visitor. Yikes. Pushing the employee who guided him in right out of the way was an old man who looked like a Yakuza member, given his crested kimono and hakama. Did he not get enough of this over the phone? I am Congressman Sonozaki. I demand to know who's responsible for this instant. Hello, I am the Division Chief Takazuki. I don't need your name. I could have you demoted on your whim. You wouldn't even be enough. Bring out the one called Oishi, or whatever. He deserves punishment for requesting a search warrant on the sacred Furude Shrine. I sincerely apologize. Oishi is currently out on investigation, and he's been difficult to contact. I'll take his place and hear you out, so please have a seat. The chief's eyes were telling me to get out of here. Perhaps I'll gratefully accept this favor. Maybe I'll go lay down in the nap room. Listen here, the Furude Shrine spent 2,600 years under the imperial calendar. Why did I say that weird? And 2,500 more beyond that. It is sacred, a sanctuary that must never be defiled. The 800,000 gods, Oyashiro-sama, and the spirits of our ancestors are enshrined there. The holy shrine protects Hinamizawa from when the sun comes up to when it sets, and from when the moon rises to when it falls. Who is the idiot who wanted to set foot in there? Besides, the right to religion is the most revered right of the people of this country in the Constitution. You dare to be so bold as to sully that using your own investigation's negligence as pretext? I will not allow it. Are you listening, you lying scum? I'm angry now, so you're not getting off the hook that easily. Oh shit. Okay. I always think of that, oh my god, Billy Ray Cyrus, like, post where he's, like, looking off in the distance, all sad, and the caption's, like, much to think about. That's how I feel right now. So, chapter 10, so we've only got like 3 more to go. I'm almost... How long have I been streaming for? An hour 35. I'm kind of tempted to like keep reading, but I also have very low energy right now, so like my commentary is obviously not going to be very good. So I'll probably just wait till tomorrow or the day after, because yeah, I need to get up early so that way I can make more stuff, and I also need to stream on other platforms as well. I want to finish this though so badly, but that'll have to come another day. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a good night or day whenever you're watching this. Peter says bye.